The domain name system, or DNS, is like the phone book of the internet. It maps human-readable URLs or host names like www.fireship.io to the IP address of the server that hosts that site. When you type a URL into the browser, it makes a DNS query to figure out which unique IP address is associated with that host name. First, it'll attempt to look in the local browser or operating system cache, but if the cache is empty, then we need to look up the IP address in the phone book, which is the job of a server known as the DNS recursive resolver. It's recursive because it needs to make multiple requests to other servers, starting with the root name server, which itself will respond with the address of a top-level domain DNS server, which stores data about top-level domains like .com or .io. The resolver makes a request there, which will respond with the IP address of the authoritative name server. That's the final source of truth that contains the requested website's IP address. That gets sent back down to the client and is cached for future use. That sounds complicated, but it all happens within a fraction of a second. You can think of it as a globally distributed database that handles more requests than any other database in the world. When you register a domain name, it's handled by a registrar accredited by the nonprofit organization ICANN. The record is then maintained by a registry operator who stores your DNS settings and propagates them to other DNS servers around the world. As the registrant, you'll be assigned a zone file where you can configure the settings of your domain. Every zone has a start of authority record to tell other DNS servers who's in charge of that domain. But most importantly, we have the A record. It means address and maps a domain or subdomain to the IP address of its host. In other cases though, we may want to forward a domain to another domain on the internet instead of an IP address, in which case a canonical name or CNAME record would be used. We have MX records for email, and we can store arbitrary data with text records, which is often used to communicate with third parties to verify ownership of the domain. And finally, we have the NS or name server record, a URL that the internet can ping to find our IP address, and there's almost always two of them for better reliability. This has been the domain name system in 100 seconds. Hit the like button if you want to see more short videos like this. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.